So obviously this is breaking news. Just now, President Trump making the formal announcement that DHS Secretary Kristi Noem will be replaced, John.
Also the president taking note of Markwayne Mullin's status as a former undefeated professional MMA fighter, also the only Native American in the Senate. Let's bring in Jackie Heinrich. She's at the White House. The timing of this, I guess, was a little bit of a surprise. We didn't expect it quite this soon, but it was certainly expected.
Well, you know, John, this president has been reluctant to shuffle his staff since really early in his second term when he moved National Security Advisor Mike Waltz over to Ambassador of the UN. Since then, he's kept all of his folks sort of in position, weathered whatever criticism comes their way. And Kristi Noem, the DHS Secretary, has faced a turbulent period in the last few weeks. Amid the fallout, the response to the ICE deportation campaign in Minnesota, some public statements that she made, and then most recently this week, her testimony on Capitol Hill, there were reports that her defense of her campaign, her ad campaign, $200 million in spending that prominently featured her sometimes on horseback, claiming that the president, according to these reports, had approved of that, reportedly upset him. He wasn't happy about giving the impression that he had sort of authorized that amid this broader administration effort to root out fraud. So she's being moved now into another role. The Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas, a new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere that they're announcing on Saturday. The president's been, defensive of Kristi Noem for the last several weeks as she's faced questions about her ability to carry out her duties. He regularly pointed to the success closing the southern border, the fact that there have been no illegal immigrants caught and released into the interior of the U.S. for several months, the fact that overdoses and murders are at historic lows, and pointed to those successes to sort of boost her up and defend keeping her in place. But it seems like that testimony on Capitol Hill might have been a turning point. There were also some reports that FEMA funding that was stalled suddenly came through after questioning. And so this is a rapid development, of course, and something we didn't expect until potentially after the midterms. This is a strange time for the president to make that major of a shakeup. But there was, sort of the writing on the wall after he elevated Tom Homan, his border czar, to take a more prominent role in the ICE deportation campaign. It's well reported that there's been a long-standing rift between Homan and Noem about how this should be handled, sort of the firmer approach versus the softer touch that Homan went in and sort of cleaned up amid all of that public scrutiny over what transpired in Minnesota. Of course, the policy still stands. The president's policy and the goal of deporting any illegal immigrant in the country and certainly prioritizing those who are guilty of crimes does still stand. But the president faced questioning about how much he wanted to defend her. And it seems in the past few weeks that that patience might have worn out.
Yeah, a little bit more about his replacement. Seems to be how when President Trump made the announcement, the focus seemed to be on his record, Jackie. This is somebody, obviously, he's putting his full support behind in making this announcement.
That's right. And Markwayne Mullin is very well liked. He does a lot of TV. He's articulate and, certainly has a lot of relevant experience. Haven't had a chance to read through everything in this very long truth, darted up to the camera as soon as we saw it come out, or make any calls to any other officials to find out more of what has gone on, sort of the background thinking that we might not know from all of the reports that have surfaced.
I have it here. I have it here. So this was what President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social here just moments ago before this broke. I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security effective March 31st, 2026. The current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and who has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to be our special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere we are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland. Serving 10 years in the United States House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, Markwayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won all 77 out of 77 counties in 2016, 2020, and 2024. A MAGA warrior and former undefeated professional MMA fighter, Markwayne truly gets along well with people and knows the wisdom and courage required to advance our America First agenda. As the only Native American in the Senate, Markwayne is a fantastic advocate for our incredible tribal communities. Markwayne will work tirelessly to keep our borders secure, stop migrant crime, murderers, and other criminals from illegally entering our country, end the scourge of illegal drugs, and make America safe again. Markwayne will make a spectacular Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, Markwayne Mullin will be out of the Senate, and he will be in to the Department of Homeland Security for the remainder of President Donald Trump's term. All of this, now keep in mind, all of this while we still have a shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. One might wonder if removing Kristi Noem from her position was one of the negotiating points or one of the things the Democrats asked for in reopening the government. Because think about this. The Department of Homeland Security has been shut down for a while now. They had been shut down for 2 weeks almost, and TSA is getting frustrated and the Border Patrol is getting frustrated. And keep in mind, we also now have an ongoing conflict with Iran, and there's sleeper cells and there's all kinds of, things that need to happen to keep Americans safe wherever they may be. And Department of Homeland Security could be the most important department we have right now, and they're the ones that are not working. So negotiating with the Democrats, trying to get them to reopen the Department of Homeland Security or refund the Department of Homeland Security, maybe they came to the table with a list of demands, and maybe getting rid of Kristi Noem, whom they've never liked ever. Maybe that was one of the demands that they came up with. Maybe they said, we will do this. We will reopen the DHS, but you need a new Department of Homeland Security secretary. And I don't know if Markwayne Mullin was their choice, but Kristi Noem was never their choice. And it seems like at this point, she may be taking the fall as part of a negotiating tactic to get this DHS back open. Now, there's no word on whether or not the DHS is going to open back up. Let's see if Fox News is talking about that at all.
Simple majority, the way they changed the Senate precedent several years ago, guys.
Wait a minute. Here we go.
Okay, Chad Pergram on that for us. Chad, thank you so much. Let's bring in Hugh Hewitt, a Fox News contributor, host of the Hugh Hewitt Show. Hugh, jump on in here as we note that the governor of Oklahoma, Stitt, gets to make an interim appointment here. A special election will be called to coincide with the next available regularly scheduled primary, runoff primary, and general election. Your thoughts as we get the news?
Well, I think this is very good for the administration. People forget we're in a war with Iran right now, and the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for those parts of Hezbollah and other terror proxies in the United States that might be organizing some kind of reprisal. It is time for our very tough president to have a very tough guy over at DHS who will take seriously the business of protecting America. Now, Governor Noem, then Secretary Noem, did a good job closing the border, but the border wall is behind. It's not getting built. More important, right now, all eyes on those people who might present a harm to the American people by way of there being extensions of the terror network. So I think Markwayne Mullin, very, very well liked within the Senate. He will be easily confirmed. 2 traditions in the Senate that will never die: blue slips on district court judges and senators get confirmed. All right, so this is not a question of his getting confirmed. Chris Coons might give you a good quote about how you can't do worse than Kristi Noem. But the fact of the matter, senators get confirmed. So he's going to be right through the process. He'll be in charge of DHS in a couple of weeks. And that's very good for this period of time when they don't need controversy. They need seriousness of purpose, especially to the threat inside the United States to the extent it exists from Iran's proxies.
Yeah, the appointment's supposed to take effect on the 31st of this month. I assume that the Senate Majority Leader John Thune will quickly get on board confirmation proceedings in the Homeland Security Committee. One of the things that's going to be on Markwayne Mullin's plate, this is what we originally brought you on to talk about, is this person in Virginia, Abdul Jallo, who had a...
Oh, my period. That was it. That's okay. We're done with Fox anyway. So that was perfect timing. They were moving on to a different subject, and we can move on. So there you go. Breaking news. Kristi Noem out as the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, and Markwayne Mullin, which, by the way, Markwayne is one word. I'm pretty sure it's not Mark Wayne, like that's his middle name. His name is Markwayne. Yeah, if you look at it, it's one of those interesting things that it took me a while to realize, but it's Markwayne is his name. You know, his name's not Mark, and his middle name's not Wayne. It's Markwayne. What's up, Markwayne? Markwayne Mullin, United States Senator, former MMA fighter, congressman, and now he's going to be the Homeland Security chief. Now, again, this was something that we'd heard grumblings of. I'm still a little shocked that Pam Bondi has a job and Kristi Noem doesn't, but this is also very interesting when you look at the cabinet, because let's take a look at the rest of the cabinet, because Donald Trump has not really made any big moves in his cabinet with the exception of Mike Waltz. Mike Waltz was a national security advisor, and we all, you remember the thing with the Signal chat, and you remember the texting, putting the guy from the Atlantic or on magazine on there, and everyone's like, wait, what's happening? Why am I on this top secret Signal chat? So that was kind of an issue. And then, Donald Trump didn't fire Mike Waltz. He said, you know what? I think you would be better off being the UN ambassador. And Mike Waltz, I'll be honest with you, has been doing a great job as the UN ambassador. Kristi Noem is going to be in charge of this, whatever this thing is they created. Let me read this. I got to read the Truth again because he put it in the Truth Social post. Let me go real quick here and take a look. Yeah, so here's Donald Trump. Kristi Noem will, hang on. I gotta again, breaking news as always. Will be moving to the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. The Shield of the, that kind of sounds like a made up thing that they made just for her. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, no, it sounds great. It sounds great. Kristi Noem served us well. She was great on the border. Now she's going to be the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. So whatever that entails, I imagine that'll be an offshoot of the Department of Homeland Security. So there you go. Congratulations, Kristi Noem, on your move to the Shield of the Americas, the new security initiative that seems like it was just made just for you so that you would peacefully leave. Because nobody wants to get fired, right? Like, you don't want to fire somebody. Donald Trump doesn't like to fire people, which is ironic because he had a show where all he did was fire somebody every week. But nowadays, he's not firing anyone. He's moving them to these new initiatives. He's moving them to a different department. He'd be well suited. I'm a little shocked, by the way, that Marco Rubio was not chosen to fill in as Secretary of Homeland Security while Kristi Noem was gone, because that's typically what happens. He's still the NSA, I think, among all these other things. But it's really got to make the rest of the cabinet now look around and go, whoa, we're a year in. We're a little over a year in now, right? Donald Trump got back to the office January 20th of 2025. It's now March of 2026, a little over a year. And maybe, a little bit of the newness has worn off. A little bit of the excitement is gone. We were the dream team for a while, but we need to make sure now that there's controversy, now that there's stuff happening, now that there's bad press, now that you have ICE agents being hated because of what they're doing in Minneapolis, now that you have, all these issues, now that the Department of Homeland Security has been defunded, now that you are also looking at what's happening with the overall look of the United States of America, we've got to really take a serious look at this. And you doing these multi-million-dollar ad campaigns, and you doing these, buying this plane with the bed in it, and having this relationship with Corey Lewandowski, whatever it is, all that, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. So we're going to look at Markwayne Mullin, who, as far as I know, has never had a relationship with Corey Lewandowski. I'm not sure, though. I can't guarantee that he hasn't. I'm pretty sure he hasn't, but I don't know for sure. Like, I can't 100% effectively come to you and say, this man has never had any kind of relationship with Corey Lewandowski, the way that Kristi Noem may or may not have had. Listen, it's going to be interesting, but like I said, now you're looking around. You're looking at the cabinet going, okay, who else? Who else has been on the chopping block? Who else has maybe not been pulling their weight? There's been a lot of, look, I know there's a lot of people who are probably safe. I know that Howard Lutnick's not going anywhere. I know that maybe not. I mean, maybe he's not going anywhere. I know that Doug Burgum is well liked. I'm pretty sure Pete Hegseth is safe, even though there've been rumblings about the media doesn't like him, and so but they're just mad because he threw them all out of the Pentagon and he brought in Laura Loomer. But there's all kinds of Chris Wright, the energy secretary, which I thought was weird. I heard rumblings that Chris Wright was going to be out. I go, why? What has Chris Wright done? The energy secretary, he's totally fine. There's absolutely no problem with it. But it looks like Donald Trump's got his solid staff, and it looks like he's getting people on the right page, and he's adding pieces and taking a look around strategically, as you do. When you're a businessman, when you're in charge, when it's your call, when you need to make sure that things get done, when you need to make sure you have the best people in place, then these are the kinds of things that you have to do. And this is what Donald Trump is doing. He's making sure that strategically he has the right pieces in place to get the job done and do it in a way that does not, again, belittle or detract from his political capital or the Republican Party heading into what is going to be a very important midterm election, one where the Democrats already seem like they may have an advantage. Listen, speaking of being strategic and speaking of making great decisions, if you have not yet decided to get your free gold guide at markswealthstrategy.com to investigate how your money and your financial future could be protected with a gold IRA from Augusta Precious Metals, I don't know what you're waiting for. markswealthstrategy.com. markswealthstrategy.com. There's a link in the show notes. Go there and get your free gold guide, because what it does is it just gives you the information. Information is power. And so you can take this information and you can use it to figure out where you are now, and more importantly, where you will be when you move your $50,000 or more into a gold-based IRA from the most trusted premier gold IRA company, Augusta Precious Metals. Go to markswealthstrategy.com right now. Get your free gold guide. There's absolutely no look, there's absolutely, you're just giving us your email so we can get you the gold guide. You can call if you'd prefer to. There's a phone number on there as well. You can talk to somebody directly, 844-963-4677. If you're one of those people that likes to talk to people, then have at it. 844-963-4677. That's another great way. You can do it. But either way, make sure you get this information, because it's pertinent. It's very important to your future, your financial future, your family's future, that you have your money working for you in the best way possible. And the best way possible is a gold IRA from Augusta Precious Metals, available at markswealthstrategy.com. All right. It looks like, wait, is Kristi Noem speaking? Is this live? It looks like Kristi Noem's speaking live. Hold on. Let me go to that real quick and see what she's saying. Here we go. Is she talking live? Is this live? Hold on. I may have to go actually to my TV. Hold on. Let me sign in with my TV provider here real quick. And we should be good to go. There we go. All right. Let's listen in as Kristi Noem is speaking. What happened? Oh, here we go.
And what they do across the country to keep people safe. The department was formed after the horrific events on 9/11, and just 2 years later, as Congress put the department together with the support of the president, 23 different agencies who had a nexus and a focus on defending the homeland were put in order to make sure that they were all following the same mission every single day. So it's a very diverse department. It not only has FLETC in it that trains over 130 different federal law enforcement agencies and officers from those agencies. It also includes CBP, ICE, CWMD, which is countering weapons of mass destruction. So some of you may have gone through some of those trainings to help us detect some of the threats here in our homeland, and also some of the trainings that it takes as far as responding to fires and 911 calls in different specific situations. We have intelligence agencies. We also cover FEMA. FEMA is a disaster response agency, but it also is the agency that's entrusted to run the government on our very worst day. If we had a tragedy in this country where we needed someone to step up because our leadership was not able to, that agency would be entrusted to do that and to maintain our critical infrastructure. So they ensure that they go forward and maintain our electrical grid and our critical infrastructure such as water and systems that we rely on every day to help the American people be safe and to still have their way of life. We also have CISA, which some of you may have worked with them, which is our cybersecurity agency, which goes out and not only hunts down bad actors that would attack us on our cyber systems, but also gives us mitigation measures for how we can harden our systems. All of these entities work together to serve the American people and to make sure that we're prepared for any threats that we may face, but also respond to them in a way that honors what our ideals are. The sacred duty of our government truly is that people are entrusted to secure the rights also of all the American people. You know,
Okay.
the Declaration of Independence states that governments derive their powers from the consent of the governed, which is the people. The people give us the right to do our jobs each and every day.
Yeah.
And as long as this world is fractured and as long as human nature is fallen, we will need brave men and women who step up and serve and enforce our rights and our laws and our values. And that's what all of you do in this room with your colleagues.
So she's speaking at
The
an
heroism
event.
was on full display this last week when we saw the attack in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, so she's speaking at an event, but so this is really, I don't know if this was timed appropriately, but President Donald Trump put out the announcement that she's being fired. She's now giving a speech in Nashville, Tennessee, and it appears that, I don't know if she's mentioned the fact that she's leaving yet, or if that's the part we missed, or if that's coming up. But apparently she's giving a speech to a group of individuals who are under her, or were under her, I guess still are, at the Department of Homeland Security. Let's listen in a little bit
in
longer.
their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalves, which means you step up in order to protect people, and you do it in a way that other people often are never going to be required to. When tragedies like what we saw in Austin take place, it's your leadership and it's your decision making that make all the difference. You use judgment, and people entrust you with their lives. You're on the front lines of leadership, and you have the responsibility of guiding and also shaping the next generation. So we thank you for that, and we thank you for what you do. I know that I've met many of you in the room. I've had the chance to visit with you. I appreciate your wisdom and your advice as we continue to develop trainings and insight into how leadership can work together to make good decisions and to break down the silos between agencies so that we can work together more in better ways than we have in the past. And you know, we're seeing challenges across the country from judges and courts that are working to stop some of our efforts, that are looking to take away some of the protection.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to mention anything about her getting fired, which, I mean, I wouldn't either. And it doesn't seem like it's the venue. But that is the breaking news today. Kristi Noem out as the Secretary of Homeland Security. Good luck to her. We'll see. We need to go see the Kalshi odds on who's next. I still thought it was going to be Pam Bondi, but it may not be. Now that she's been subpoenaed by the House of Representatives, she may be next on the chopping block, but we'll take some bets and we'll see who it is. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to this channel because, like I said, whenever there's breaking news, we're going to be here to break it. Subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you're watching every single day. Make sure you're getting all the content every single day, and make sure no matter what happens, you listen to whatever we can tell you, because we're going to bring you the truth. We're not going to bring you the propaganda. We're not going to bring you the lies or the media spin. We're going to let you know exactly what you need to know to stay safe, to stay secure, to stay informed, to stay enlightened, to stay ready, willing, and able to fight so we can